words used in this connection in Srimad Bhagavatam are Bhagavan Api. This means that although Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus has no desire that needs to be fulfilled, because he is always full with 6 opulences. You know the 6 opulences of Krishna? Monday? All strength, yeah? All wealth. What are things that generally make a person? It's things that make a person all attractive. Like together with all these things, we find people attractive. So one is like strength, wealth. What could be something else? Knowledge, yes. Beauty. Okay, we only have 2 more now. Jai Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda Ki Jai. So we got wealth, strength, knowledge, beauty. What's the other ones? Renunciation. Yes, that's one that we don't think so much. But actually we see when people have like so many good things, but at the same time they're also renounced from them. That makes a person really attractive. So we have strength, knowledge. Oh, the other one is fame. Yeah, so that's altogether 6. We have knowledge, beauty, strength, fame, wealth, renunciation. So these are it says that Krishna, he's full with these 6 opulences, that all of us will have, we can have like these in a small quantity, some of them. Someone we can see is really beautiful, someone might be really wealthy. But Krishna has all of these in like an unlimited degree. And so that makes him all attractive, which is what the name Krishna literally means, all attractive. So this means that although Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus has no desire that needs to be fulfilled, because he is always full with the 6 opulences, he still wanted to enjoy the company of the gopis in the rasa dance. Bhagavan Api signifies that this dance is not like the ordinary dancing of young boys and girls. The specific words used in Srimad Bhagavatam are Yoga Mayam Apashrita, which mean that this dancing with the gopis is on the platform of Yoga Maya, not Mahamaya. Yeah, so these are 2 energies of the Lord. Yoga Maya is his internal energy, the spiritual energy. And Mahamaya is the illusory energy that covers all of us in this material world. The dancing of young boys and girls within the material world is in the kingdom of Mahamaya, or the external energy. The rasa dance of Krishna with the gopis is on the platform of Yogamaya. The difference between the platforms of Yogamaya and Mahamaya is compared in the Chaitanya Charitamrita to the difference between gold and iron. From the viewpoint of metallurgy, gold and iron are both metals, but the quality is completely different. Similarly, although the rasa dance and Lord Krishna's association with the gopis appear like the ordinary mixing of young boys and girls, the quality is completely different. The difference is appreciated by great Vaishnavas because they can understand the difference between love of Krishna and lust. On the Mahamaya platform, dances take place on the basis of sense gratification. But when Krishna called the gopis by sounding his flute, they very hurriedly rushed toward the spot of the rasa dance, with the transcendental desire to satisfy Krishna. The author of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, has explained that lust means sense gratification, and love also means sense gratification, but for Krishna. So lust means when we want to satisfy our own senses, and love or bhakti means when we want to satisfy the senses of Krishna. One is selfish, the other is selfless. In other words, when activities are enacted on the platform of personal sense gratification, they are called material activities. But when they are enacted for the satisfaction of Krishna, then they are spiritual activities. On any platform of activities, the principle of sense gratification is there. But on the spiritual platform, sense gratification is for the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, whereas on the material platform, it is for the performer. For example, on the material platform, when a servant serves a master, he is trying to satisfy not the senses of his master, but rather his own senses. The servant would not serve the master if the payment stopped. So it's like we all go to work and we're working for our boss. But are we actually serving our boss? Not really. We're just working for him because we want the money that we're getting paid for. That means that the servant engages himself in the service of the master just to satisfy his own senses. On the spiritual platform, however, the servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead serves Krishna without payment, and he continues his service in all conditions. So that's the difference between lust and love. That one who serves Krishna, they don't care about, is Krishna going to pay me, or like, do I only serve him in certain conditions? Someone who actually has real love, they'll serve Krishna in any condition. As mentioned above, it appears that Krishna enjoyed the rasa dance with the gopis when he was 8 years old. At that time, many of the gopis were married, because in India, especially in those days, girls were married at a very early age. There are even many instances of a girl's giving birth to a child at the age of 12. Under the circumstances, all the gopis who wanted to have Krishna as their husband were already married. At the same time, they continued to hope that Krishna would be their husband. Their attitude toward Krishna was that of parama love. Therefore, the loving affairs of Krishna with the gopis are called parakiya rasa. The attitude of a married man who desires another wife, or a wife who desires another husband, is called parakiya rasa. Actually, Krishna is the husband of everyone, because he is the supreme enjoyer. The gopis wanted Krishna to be their husband, but factually there was no possibility of his marrying all the gopis. But because they had the natural tendency to accept Krishna as their supreme husband, the relationship between the gopis and Krishna is called parakiya rasa. This parakiya rasa is ever existent in Goloka Vrindavan, in the spiritual sky, where there is no possibility of the inebriety which characterizes parakiya rasa in the material world. In the material world, parakiya rasa is abominable, whereas in the spiritual world, it is present in the super excellent relationship of Krishna and the gopis. There are many relationships with Krishna: master and servant, friend and friend, parent and son, and lover and beloved. Out of all these rasas, the parakiya rasa is considered to be the topmost. This material world is the perverted reflection of the spiritual world. It is just like the reflection of a tree on the bank of a reservoir of water. The topmost part of the tree is seen as the lowest part. Similarly, parakiya rasa, when pervertedly reflected in this material world, is most abominable. Therefore, when people imitate the rasa dance of Krishna with the gopis, they simply enjoy the perverted, abominable reflection of the transcendental parakiya rasa. There is no possibility of enjoying this transcendental parakiya rasa within the material world. It is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam that one should not imitate this parakiya rasa even in a dream or imagination. Those who do so drink the most deadly poison. When Krishna, the supreme enjoyer, desired to enjoy the company of the gopis on that full moon night of the Sharat season, exactly at the very moment the moon, the lord of the stars, appeared in the sky, displaying its most beautiful features. The full moon night of the Sharat season is the most beautiful night in the year. In the Indian city of Agra, in Uttar Pradesh province, there is a great monument called the Taj Mahal, which is a tomb made of first-class marble stone. During the night of the full moon of the Sharat season, many foreigners go to see the beautiful reflections of the moon on the tomb. Thus, this full moon night is celebrated even today for its beauty. When the full moon rose in the east, it tinged everything with a reddish color. With the rising of the moon, the whole sky appeared smeared with the red kumkum. When a husband long separated from his wife returns home, he decorates the face of his wife with red kumkum. This long-expected moonrise of the Sharat season was thus smearing the eastern sky. The appearance of the moon increased Krishna's desire to dance with the gopis. The forests were filled with fragrant flowers. The atmosphere was cooling and festive. When Lord Krishna began to blow his flute, the gopis all over Vrindavan became enchanted. Their attraction to the vibration of the flute increased 1,000 times due to the rising full moon, the red horizon, the calm and cool atmosphere, and the blossoming flowers. All the gopis were by nature very much attracted to Krishna's beauty, and when they heard the vibrations of his flute, they became apparently lustful to satisfy the senses of Krishna. Immediately upon hearing the vibration of the flute, they all left their respective engagements and proceeded to the spot where Krishna was standing. While they ran very swiftly, their earrings swung back and forth. They all rushed toward the place known as Vamsivat. Some of them were engaged in milking cows, but they left their milking business half finished and immediately went to Krishna. One of them had just collected milk and put it in a milk pan on the stove to boil, but she did not care whether the milk overboiled and spilled. She immediately left to go see Krishna. Some of them were breastfeeding their small babies, and some were engaged in distributing food to the members of the families. But they left all such engagements and immediately rushed toward the spot where Krishna was playing his flute. Some were engaged in serving their husbands, and some were themselves engaged in eating. But caring neither to serve their husbands nor eat, they immediately left. Some of them wanted to decorate their faces with cosmetic ointments and to dress themselves very nicely before going to Krishna. But unfortunately, they could not finish their cosmetic decorations or put on their clothes in the right way because of their anxiety to meet Krishna immediately. Their faces were decorated hurriedly and were haphazardly finished. Some even put the lower part of their cloth on the upper part of the bodies and the upper part on the lower part. So here they're saying how as soon as the gopis, they heard Krishna's flute, immediately they left. Whatever they were doing at home, they just ran to see Krishna as fast. Some of them, they were like getting ready, they just like didn't care what they were doing, they just put something on quick and ran. While all the gopis were hurriedly leaving their respective places, their husbands, brothers, and fathers were all struck with wonder to know where they were going. Being young girls, they were protected either by their husbands, elder brothers, or fathers. All their guardians forbade them to go to Krishna, but they disregarded them. When a person becomes attracted by Krishna and is in full Krishna consciousness, he does not care for any worldly duties, even though very urgent. Yeah, so it says that actually the gopis are the example of the highest gopis, the highest devotees, that their love for Krishna is so great, and we can see that from this, that as soon as they heard Krishna's flute, they were ready to leave everything. Whatever obstacle came in the way, they just didn't care about it at all. They just wanted to go to Krishna. Krishna consciousness is so powerful that it gives everyone relief from all material activities. Srila Rupa Goswami has written a very nice verse wherein one gopi advises another. My dear friend, if you desire to enjoy the company of material society, friendship, and love, then please do not go to see the smiling boy Govinda, who is standing on the bank of the Yamuna and playing his flute, his lips brightened by the beams of the full moon night. Srila Rupa Goswami indirectly instructs that one who has been captivated by the beautiful smiling face of Krishna has lost all attraction for material enjoyment. This is the test of advancement in Krishna consciousness. A person advancing in Krishna consciousness must lose interest in material activities and personal sense gratification. So this is very nice. We can also test ourselves. How much am I attracted to Krishna? Based on how much am I still attracted to material enjoyment? Some of the gopis were factually detained from going to Krishna by their husbands and were locked up by force within their rooms. Being unable to go to Krishna, they began to meditate upon his transcendental form by closing their eyes. They already had the form of Krishna within their minds. They proved to be the greatest yogis. As is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, a person who is constantly thinking of Krishna within his heart with faith and love is considered to be the topmost of all yogis. Actually, a yogi concentrates his mind on the form of the Lord Vishnu. That is real yoga. Krishna is the original form of all Vishnu tattvas. The gopis who could not go to Krishna personally, so they began to meditate on him as perfect yogis. In the conditional stage of the living entities, there are two kinds of results of fruitive activities. The conditioned living entity who is constantly engaged in sinful activities has suffering as his result, and he who is engaged in pious activities has material enjoyment as a result. So it says there's two kinds of results a living entity can get from his activities. Either he does good activities and then he gets pious result, or he does bad things and he gets impious. Which lead to, good activities lead to happiness, bad activities lead to suffering. In either case, material suffering or material enjoyment, the sufferer or enjoyer is conditioned by material nature. So they're still under the material influences. Either they're happy or sad. The gopi associates of Krishna who assembled in the place where Krishna was appearing were from different groups. Most of the gopis were eternal companions of Krishna, as stated in the Brahma Samhita, Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pradibhavitabhi. In the spiritual world, the associates of Krishna, especially the gopis, are manifestations of the pleasure potency of Lord Krishna. They are expansions of Srimati Radharani. But when Krishna exhibits his transcendental pastimes within the material world in some of the universes, not only the eternal associates of Krishna come, but also those who are being promoted to that status from this material world. So some of the gopis who enjoyed Krishna's pastimes within this material world were coming from the status of ordinary human beings. If they had been bound by fruitive action, they were fully free from the reactions of karma by constant meditation on Krishna. Their severely painful yearnings caused by their not being able to see Krishna freed them from all sinful reactions, and their ecstasy of transcendental love for Krishna in his absence ended all their reactions to material pious activities. The conditioned soul is subject to birth and death, either by pious or sinful activities. But the gopis who began to meditate on Krishna transcended both positions and became purified, and thus elevated to the status of the gopis, already expanded by his pleasure potency. All the gopis who concentrated their minds on Krishna in the spirit of paramour love became fully purified of all fruitive reaction of material nature, and some of them immediately gave up their material bodies, developed under the three modes of material nature. Maharaj Parikshit heard Shukadev Goswami explain the situation of the gopis who assembled with Krishna in the rasa dance. When he heard that some of the gopis, simply by concentrating on Krishna as their paramour, became free from all contaminations of material birth and death, he said, "The gopis did not know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They accepted him as a beautiful boy and considered him to be their paramour. So how was it possible for them to get free from the material condition just by thinking of a paramour?" So Bhagavatam is basically a conversation between Shukadev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit. So because, as I explained before, Krishna book is part of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So here they're referring to this conversation between Parikshit and Shukadev. And here Parikshit Maharaj is asking a question to Shukadev that how were the gopis completely liberated just by thinking of Krishna? Because they weren't even thinking of him as God, they were just thinking of him as their lover. So here now I will explain. One should consider here that Krishna and ordinary living beings are qualitatively one. The ordinary living being part and parcel of Krishna, are also Brahman, but Krishna is the supreme Para-Brahman. The question is, if it is possible for a devotee to get free from material contaminated stage simply by thinking of Krishna, then why should this not be possible for others who are also thinking of someone? If one is thinking of a husband or son, or if anyone at all is thinking of another living entity, then since all living entities are also Brahman, why are all those who thus think of others not free from the contaminated stage of material nature? You understand, yeah? So they're saying that we are also part of Brahman, but we're just like a small part. But if we're still part, then how is it that if I just think of my friend or someone, I'm not liberated, like the gopis, they thought of Krishna? This is a very intelligent question, because there are always atheists imitating Krishna. In these days of Kali Yuga, there are many rascals who think themselves to be as good as Krishna, and who cheat people into believing that thinking of them is as good as thinking of Lord Krishna. Parikshit Maharaj, apprehending the future dangerous condition of blind followers of demoniac imitators, therefore asked this question, and fortunately it is recorded in Srimad Bhagavatam to warn innocent people that thinking of an ordinary man and thinking of Krishna are not the same. Actually, even thinking of the demigods cannot compare with thinking of Krishna. It is warned in the Vaishnav Tantra that one who puts Vishnu, Narayan, or Krishna on the same level as the demigods is called a Pashandi, or rascal. On hearing this question from Maharaj Parikshit, Shukadev Goswami replied, "My dear king, your question is already answered, even before this incident." Because Parikshit Maharaj wanted to clear up the situation, his spiritual master answered him very intelligently. "Why are you again asking about the same subject matter, which has already been explained to you? Why are you so forgetful?" A spiritual master is always in the superior position, so he has the right to chastise his disciple in this way. Shukadev Goswami knew that Maharaj Pariksha asked the question not for his own understanding, but as a warning to the future innocent people who might think others to be equal to Krishna. Shukadev Goswami then reminded Parikshit Maharaj about the salvation of Shishupal. Shishupal was always envious of Krishna, and because of his envy, Krishna killed him. But since Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shishupal gained salvation simply by seeing him. If an envious person can get salvation simply by concentrating his mind on Krishna, then what to speak of the gopis, who are so dear to Krishna and always think of him in love? There must be some difference between the enemies and the friends. If Krishna's enemies could get free from material contamination and become one with the Supreme, then certainly his dear friends like the gopis can achieve such freedom and much more. Besides that, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is called Rishikesh. Shukdev Goswami also said that Krishna is Rishikesh, the super soul, whereas an ordinary man is a conditioned soul, covered by the material body. Krishna and Krishna's body are the same, because he is Rishikesh. Any person making a distinction between Krishna